There is a man you were born to become, and he is dying while you delay. His strength, his peace, his power, his fortune, his family, his destiny, all of it waits behind a door that only opens the moment you move. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. But most men die waiting, and time does not negotiate. You do not need more ideas. You do not need a better plan. You need obedience to the idea you already have. You say you're building a new life, but you have not taken the first true step. You've delayed the decision, you've stalled the beginning. And that delay is not neutral. It is killing your future. Do not lie to yourself. Waiting has not made you stronger. Postponement has not made you wiser. Every hour you hesitate, your belief weakens. Your faith dulls. Your fire fades. And the man you could become, the disciplined, focused, wealthy, peaceful man, he slips further out of reach. This is not a speech. This is your warning. If you do not begin now, the next year will look exactly like the last. And you will know why. Because you refused to act when destiny whispered, "This is the moment." What if I told you that by beginning today, you could begin to feel the weight of regret lift? That you could begin building the habits that compound into wealth, into mastery, into peace? That a single act of movement would unlock the rhythm that rewires your very identity? Because that is the truth. The man who begins becomes a man the world cannot stop. He no longer fears failure, he fears inaction. He walks with quiet conviction. He knows where he is going, and life begins to obey him. Do you want clarity? Begin. Do you want confidence? Begin. Do you want peace? Begin. Do you want to stop starting over? Begin. Do you want to look in the mirror and see a finisher, not a dreamer? Then begin today. But listen carefully, you are not promised the chance to start again. You are not promised more time. You are only promised the power to decide. And if you do not use it now, your destiny will not wait for you. It will move on, and you will be left with one thought, I could have. Let us begin. Before another moment is lost, before your future becomes your memory, begin while you still have time. Introduction. You are not waiting for the right time. Time is waiting for you to decide. You believe you have years left to begin, but that belief is a lie, a soft pillow placed under your dream to keep it sleeping. The man who waits for conditions to be perfect will watch his entire life pass by in hesitation. You say you are gathering strength. You say you are preparing. But every moment spent preparing without acting is a silent betrayal of your destiny. The opportunity that was alive yesterday may already be gone. And the moment you delay today, you are teaching your subconscious that delay is permitted. This is no small matter. Procrastination is not simply a bad habit. It is spiritual treason. It is the quiet agreement between your future and your fear. And every time you hesitate, you lose something greater than time. You lose power. You lose faith. You lose the momentum that only movement brings. And how many years have you said soon? How many mornings did you whisper not yet? How many dreams have already died while you waited for someone to give you permission? No man receives permission to rise. He commands it. The future does not belong to the passive. It does not reward the emotional. It does not negotiate with hesitation. The future bows to one kind of man only, the one who moves, and not tomorrow. Now, let this be understood with absolute clarity. This is not a motivational talk. This is not inspiration. This is instruction. You are not being invited to consider. You are being commanded to decide, to act, to move with the finality of a man who knows he may never be offered this chance again. Begin while you still have time, or you may run out of it, and the life you were meant to build will become another casualty of indecision. Let us begin. For every second wasted in hesitation is a seed planted in regret. Part 1. The cost of delay you are paying for every moment you postpone. Every minute you postpone your definite action is not neutral. It is not harmless. It is not still. It is feeding something in you that must die, the habit of hesitation. Delay is not an empty space. Delay is a thief silently robbing you of your power, your momentum, and your inner belief that you can finish what you start. You may not feel it yet. That is the danger. Because delay does not shout. It whispers. It wraps itself in logic. It makes a man feel clever for doing nothing. It hides behind questions, behind research, behind noble intentions. But make no mistake, delay is slow death, and it collects its payment in the form of wasted strength and withered will. Every time you hesitate, you confirm to your subconscious that movement is negotiable, that your definite chief aim is optional, that your word to yourself means nothing, and once that idea is planted, it grows, it multiplies. Until one day you wake up and realize you no longer believe in your own fire. The world did not stop you. Your enemies did not stop you. You stopped you by delaying, by overthinking, by living in the lie that later is safer than now. But I tell you, now is your greatest weapon. And the man who wields it with decision is the man who builds empires. I remember the day Andrew Carnegie tested me. 60 seconds to decide whether I would take on the task of organizing the world's first philosophy of success. I had no money. I had no backing. I had only a challenge. But I decided. And in that decision, everything began. Had I waited, had I told him I needed time to consider, to plan, to prepare, I would have failed the test of destiny. Because destiny does not wait, it is not patient. It comes to the man who is ready and punishes the one who is not. Delay compounds like debt. You think you're putting it off one day at a time. But in truth, you are strengthening the muscle of indecision. You are letting your mind grow used to living without obedience. And soon action feels foreign. And silence becomes your natural state. Understand this. The law of cosmic habit force responds not to what you intend, but to what you do repeatedly. And if what you repeat is hesitation, then the law will create more hesitation. It will normalize delay. It will solidify drift. But if what you repeat is action, even small action, then the law begins to move in your favor. The rhythm of momentum will start to replace the rhythm of retreat. Your thoughts will rise, your belief will harden, and your body will begin to obey your spirit. Most men are not stopped by failure. They are stopped by hesitation. They say they are preparing, but they are procrastinating. They say they are cautious, but they are fearful. And fear, when not confronted with decision, becomes a lifetime prison. Every minute not lived in decision is feeding the ghost of fear. And fear, once fed, becomes arrogant. It grows bold. It speaks louder than faith. And if you feed it long enough, it begins to wear your voice. It begins to sound like you. And soon you obey it, believing it to be your own wisdom. This is not a matter of motivation. This is a matter of spiritual obedience. You were not created to stall. You were not designed to doubt. You were built to act, to command, to move. And each day you do not move is a day you betray your design. The cost of delay is not merely lost time, it is lost self-respect. Because deep down, you know what you should be doing. And every time you choose silence, you feel it. That dull ache in your chest. That small burning in your conscience. That's the voice of your higher self, suffocating under your delay. And yet, the remedy is so simple, so immediate, so powerful. Begin. Begin before you feel ready. Begin before you see results. Begin even while your hands shake and your voice trembles. Because in beginning, you regain your power. You restore your identity. There is only one way to reverse the damage that delay has done. Not through analysis, not through more preparation, but through violent obedience to action. One step, one call, one move, and the rhythm shifts, the cycle breaks, and your spirit begins to breathe again. Say it now. I owe nothing to delay. I act now. Every second I obey is a seed of destiny. Repeat it until your subconscious believes it. And once it does, it will serve you, not with hesitation, but with force. The man who delays is not cursed. He is simply undecided. But once decision is made, once it is burned into the mind with clarity and feeling, once it is spoken aloud daily, it becomes the force that bends life itself. Because nothing is more powerful than a man who decides. Let others wait. Let others hope. Let others shrink. You are not them. You were not born to drift. You were born to decide, to move, to command results. And the day you choose movement over delay is the day you begin to own your life. So act. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel perfect. Not when others approve. Now speak, move, begin. Because if you do not, you will pay again, and the price will always be higher next time. Part 2. You were not promised time, only power to decide. You were not promised more time. You were not guaranteed another month, another year, another breath. What you were given by infinite intelligence is a single divine power, the ability to decide. And it is that power alone that determines your rise or your ruin. Men deceive themselves by believing they have time. They say they will act once conditions improve. They speak of when the children grow, or when the market changes, or when they feel more certain. But in truth they are bargaining with an illusion. Time makes no promises. Only your decision can be trusted. Infinite intelligence does not reward the man who waits. It rewards the man who moves. It responds to faith, not delay. It obeys boldness, not comfort. And every second you stall, you insult the gift that has been placed in your hands, the gift of movement. You will not be more ready later. You will not feel stronger next week. The man who waits to feel certain will never act, because certainty does not precede action. It follows it. And if you dare to move before you feel ready, you will discover a secret. You were always ready the moment you decided. The world will not give you permission. It will not kneel at your feet and beg you to begin. It will wait. And if you do not act, it will forget you, because it belongs to the man who imposes his vision on it. And the only way to impose your vision is to decide it is time. I speak now not of intellect, but of spiritual urgency. A man who does not act now does not believe now. For belief that does not produce motion is nothing more than fantasy, and God does not bless fantasy. He blesses obedience. Consider Henry Ford. He did not wait for the market to be ready. He did not wait for support. He decided that the world would move on wheels, and then he acted as if that vision was already real. And because he acted with faith, reality bent to his decision. That is what your decision does. It reshapes the laws around you. It draws power from places you did not see before. But only if it is total, only if it is immediate. Decision that is delayed is not decision. It is doubt in disguise. When you say, "I'll decide soon," you have already decided to delay. And when you delay, you give permission for your old life to continue ruling you. You give fear another day to speak. You give the devil another hour to whisper. And do not believe the lie that waiting will make you wiser. Wisdom is born in action, not in contemplation. The man who waits for confidence will die without it. But the man who acts, though afraid, will find that faith rushes in to meet him. You have one chance to claim this moment. One. And the cost of failing to do so is not just a missed opportunity, it is the slow erosion of your belief that change is possible. And when that belief dies, you die while still breathing. The greatest danger is not that you will fail, it is that you will never begin. And the longer you wait, the more skilled your mind becomes at justifying delay. Until eventually, you will no longer call it procrastination. You will call it your life. But it is not your life. It is your refusal to live. And every second of it can be reversed the moment you decide. Not gradually, not softly, but violently. With fire, with finality, with no retreat. You were not promised time, but you were given something better. You were given the power to decide how to use it. And the man who uses it with clarity and conviction becomes a force that time itself must bow to. So make your decision, not with words, but with action. Not tomorrow, now. Write it, speak it, move in its direction, and let every voice of fear, every excuse, every doubt be silenced under the authority of your will. Say it aloud now. I was not promised more time. I was given the power to move now. Let that be your creed. Let that be your command. Let that be the rhythm of your life from this moment forward, because the moment you accept that nothing is guaranteed, the moment you stop waiting for ideal conditions, the moment you see that you are the condition, that is the moment life begins to obey you. Men who wait are forgotten. Men who hesitate are broken. But men who decide, men who declare, men who act, they are remembered, because they chose to begin while they still had time. Let that be you. Part 3. The spirit of decision. The moment you begin, you shift the universe. Every man who has ever altered the course of history began with a single act that appeared insignificant to others, but which held in it the full weight of decision. It is not the size of the action that reshapes your life, it is the spirit behind it. And the spirit of decision is the force that commands all other forces to obey. Decision is not a word. It is not a hope. It is not a whisper in the night. It is a roar that pierces doubt. It is a spiritual explosion that collapses the past and builds a new future in its place. One real decision, when made with full faith and no retreat, shakes the rhythm of your world. The man who decides is no longer a man, he is a lawmaker. For all men who make clear, definite decisions, backed by persistent action, begin to rule their circumstances, their emotions, and their environment. They no longer wait for life to present itself, they present themselves to life. Infinite intelligence responds to faith, but faith that does not lead to action is dead, and action that is not born from decision is weak. Therefore, to unlock spiritual power, you must decide as if no other option exists. You must close the door behind you and burn the plan of retreat. There is a divine mystery in this. The moment you make a decision with your full being, unseen forces begin to move. Conditions rearrange themselves. People enter or exit. Resources appear. But these only occur after decision, not before, because the world must be shown that you are serious. Charles M. Schwab did not wait for the steel industry to applaud his vision. He did not gather consensus. He decided. He took hold of his plan with fire and pressed forward, not because it was safe, but because it was right. And because he did, the world that once doubted him was forced to submit. When a man decides, truly decides, everything shifts. Why? Because decision alters the vibration of your thoughts. It gives your subconscious a clear command. It instructs your emotions to obey, not to argue. And it tells your body to move without delay. In that moment, you are no longer a beggar. You are a commander. Most men do not fail from lack of talent. They fail from lack of decision. They linger between options. They waver between comfort and growth. And in that middle place, no seed takes root, no fire is lit, no force responds. Because nature cannot move for the man who refuses to move first. There is no neutral ground. Indecision is decision for weakness. Hesitation is commitment to stagnation. Every day you refuse to decide is a day you have decided to remain as you are. And let no man claim otherwise. To decide is to be reborn, because in the instant you choose, you kill the weaker self. You destroy the voice of maybe. You silence the song of not yet. And you stand unclothed before your destiny, saying, I am ready, I have chosen. Let the world shift or fall, I shall not move. From this moment forward, speak your decision aloud. Write it. Burn it into your subconscious with repetition. Let autosuggestion become your ally. Let your subconscious be fed no longer by drift or fear, but by purpose and authority. Your mind will begin to serve you once it knows what it must do. It will silence the critic. It will reject the distraction. It will align every thought with your declared intention. But it must hear the order first, and that order is your decision. Do not wait for approval. Do not wait for proof. Do not wait for signs. Be the sign. Be the proof. And know that the man who acts without certainty will be met by certainty in the process of action. The proof comes after the decision, not before. This is spiritual law. This is success law. And it cannot be violated without consequence. For he who wavers will be tossed. He who delays will decay. But he who stands and speaks and acts as if it is already done, he shall have dominion. Now say this aloud, not once, but every day until your bones believe it. The moment I decide, heaven and earth begin to obey. Because they do, but only for the man who gives them something definite to obey. You must not only choose the aim, you must live as if no other path exists. That is how you shift your universe. That is how you wake your spirit. That is how you command the laws to kneel before you. And the moment you do that, the past loses power, the future becomes magnetic, and you are no longer drifting through a life of possibility. You are building a life of certainty. Part 4, begin small, but begin. You are not required to begin with strength. You are not required to begin with applause. You are only required to begin. The size of your action means nothing to infinite intelligence. It is the definiteness behind it that shapes your destiny. A single move, born of faith, has more power than 1,000 unspoken intentions. You who wait for large steps must understand this law. No man begins great. The men who built empires began with inches. They took one small action, but they did it with the force of all they had. And they did it again the next day, and again the next, until the rhythm took hold. And the rhythm became unbreakable. It is not weakness to start small. It is wisdom. The man who begins where he is, without complaint, without excuse, without delay, he is the only one who will finish. Because the man who refuses to act until it is easy will never act at all. And the man who never acts will die wondering what he might have been. Begin with what you have. Begin with what you know. Begin with what you can reach today. And understand this. The moment you begin, you have already separated yourself from 95% of the world who are still thinking, planning, waiting, doubting. John D. Rockefeller did not start with millions. He began by saving pennies, tracking every cent, and building a rhythm of order and control. The empire came later, but it was built on the habit of moving forward every day without negotiation. And do not wait for understanding. Do not wait for clarity. They will come to the man who acts, not to the man who hesitates. As you move, your plan will mature. As you act, your path will emerge, but only to the one who starts, without condition. Perfectionism is the mask of procrastination. It promises excellence, but it delivers paralysis. It tells you that you must first be complete to begin. But I tell you this truth, you become complete through the act of beginning, and every step reveals more power. Let us speak plainly. You have enough to begin. You have breath, you have mind, you have decision, and if you have those three, you are already wealthy, because most men will waste all three before they ever dare to move. You do not need more motivation. You do not need another seminar, another book, another sign from the world. The sign has already arrived. It is the fire in your chest when you hear these words. That fire is all the proof you need that this is your hour. Let this be your law. Every day I move forward, no matter how small the step, no matter how unclear the result. This is the code of the builder. This is the creed of the finisher. And this is the rhythm that births transformation. Your subconscious mind obeys repetition. And when you act daily, you are not simply achieving goals, you are training identity. You are burning the memory of weakness from your spirit. And in its place, you are building a man who cannot be shaken. Do not despise small beginnings, because the oak began as a seed. The empire began as a ledger. The book began as a sentence, and the man of power began as the man of daily obedience. Begin small, but begin. Say it aloud now. I begin today with what I have, where I am. That is all I need. Repeat it daily. Speak it into your cells. Let your bones memorize it, because this sentence is not poetry, it is power. It is the pattern that will make you unstoppable. You are not building a moment, you are building momentum, and momentum does not require strength, it requires consistency. The wheel turns not because you push it once, but because you push it again and again and again until it obeys without effort. Now listen to me. If you can move once, you can move twice. If you can move twice, you can create a habit. And once the habit is installed, the law of cosmic habit force takes over. Your movement becomes natural. Your discipline becomes instinct. This is how men become giants, not by leaping, but by planting one step behind the other until the mountain is behind them. And when they are asked how they did it, they do not speak of luck. They speak of starting before they felt ready. So begin. Begin while your hands are trembling. Begin while your heart is uncertain. Begin while the world laughs, while the critics mock, while the voice of fear begs you to sit down. Because if you do not begin now, you may never begin at all. The past does not matter. The failures do not matter. The time lost does not matter. What matters is that this is your day of obedience. And no man ever regrets beginning, only delaying. Say it again. I begin today with what I have, where I am. That is all I need. Part 5. Procrastination is the devil's most subtle tool. Procrastination wears no horns. It does not shout. It does not arrive with violence. It whispers. It suggests. It cloaks itself in logic. It speaks like a friend. But make no mistake, procrastination is the devil's most polished weapon. And the moment you entertain it, you place your destiny on the altar of destruction. In Outwitting the Devil, I expose this truth. The devil does not need you to sin. He only needs you to delay. For if you delay your purpose, your gift, your movement, he already owns you. He wins not by force, but by planting drift in your mind and watching you do nothing. Procrastination is not laziness. It is fear wearing a mask. It is indecision cloaked in false wisdom. And every time you agree with it, even for a moment, you hand over your willpower to your lower self. And once given, it grows harder to reclaim. The devil said it plainly when I confronted him in conversation. I cause people to procrastinate by planting in their minds the fear of criticism, the fear of poverty, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. He does not need to destroy you. He simply needs to convince you to wait. You may believe you're thinking. You may believe you're analyzing, planning, researching. But if it does not lead to movement, you are feeding the enemy, because thought that is not followed by action is a trap. It becomes overanalysis. It becomes paralysis. It becomes the perfect prison. Procrastination will steal your fortune. It will steal your fitness. It will steal your peace. It will take from you the power to finish until the only thing you are excellent at is starting over again and again. But understand this, the man who acts, even imperfectly, destroys the grip of the devil. Because once you move, you interrupt the pattern. You create a new current, and that current becomes power. And power breaks the chains of fear. You must become suspicious of delay. If it feels safe, question it. If it sounds reasonable, interrogate it. Because procrastination always sells itself as wisdom, but delivers death. It will sound like, let me think about it. It will sound like, I'll start Monday. And these words are poison. Decision must be made now. Not because the action must be perfect, but because the mind must be trained. And if your mind learns that hesitation is tolerated, it will produce more of it. It will become your default setting, and that setting will never lead you to greatness. Do not negotiate with the voice that says later. That voice is not you. It is the echo of failure. It is the old rhythm trying to reassert control. And the moment you hear it, you must respond with action. No argument, no delay, obedience. You say you want to succeed. You say you want to be free. But I ask you, do you want it badly enough to begin before you're ready? Because if not, the devil still has a hold on your will, and he will wait. He is patient, and every time you delay, he grows stronger. You must declare war on procrastination, not by talking about it, but by acting in defiance of it. Even if all you do is write the first sentence, make the first call, move your feet forward, that is victory. And every small victory leads to the habit of winning. You do not need massive action to defeat procrastination. You need definite action. You need to build a mind that moves without negotiation. You need to install the habit of immediacy. And once it is installed, delay will become foreign to you, and the devil will have no more entry. Say this aloud until it becomes law in your mind. I destroy delay with action. I do not drift. I do not wait. I begin. Repeat it again and again. Speak it until it replaces every old excuse. Let this affirmation become the weapon that drives the enemy from your spirit. Let it be the flame that burns down the waiting room of your life. I tell you now, the man who defeats procrastination becomes dangerous. Because once he is free from delay, he becomes free from fear, free from weakness, free from the ghost of who he used to be. And such a man cannot be stopped. He who waits is a servant, but he who acts becomes a king, because time obeys the one who uses it, and delay obeys the one who refuses to feed it. So begin, not tomorrow, not when the calendar turns. Begin now, even if it's small, even if it's messy. Begin in the face of fear, and fear will bow. Because procrastination is not stronger than you. It is only strong when you are silent. But once you act, you reclaim dominion, and the devil flees. Part 6. The man who begins wins. The world rewards only one kind of man, the man who begins, not the one who talks, not the one who waits, not the one who imagines, but the one who moves. For movement, even imperfect, commands progress. And progress becomes power, and power reshapes destiny. It is not results that build belief, it is movement. The man who begins generates his own proof. He does not wait for permission. He does not require applause. He trusts the law. Action compounds, repetition rewires, and momentum builds identity. Failure cannot defeat the man who begins again, because each beginning is not a return to zero. It is a return with greater clarity, greater strength, and greater certainty. The man who begins again has already slain the greatest enemy, the hesitation to begin. Success is not found in brilliance. It is found in continuity. One act repeated daily, one decision made faithfully, one aim pursued without retreat. These build an invisible force that no opposition can resist. It is not seen at first, but it cannot be denied forever. Consider Thomas Edison. It was not his genius that made him victorious. It was his willingness to begin again 10,000 times. He did not view failure as a stop, but as a step. He said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is the mind of a man who wins. You may believe you lack confidence, but confidence is not a prerequisite to action. It is the result of it. When you begin to believe. When you repeat, belief grows. When belief grows, results follow. And those results become the foundation of power. Your self-image cannot be changed in thought alone. It must be changed through movement. You must act like the man you wish to become. Speak like him. Walk like him. Commit like him. Begin like him. And in doing so, you will become him. When you act, your subconscious mind watches, it listens, it takes notes, and it responds. It begins to rewrite the image it holds of you, and when that image changes, your habits follow, your will strengthens, your emotions submit, and your destiny bends. That is why the man who begins is the man who wins, not because he is better, but because he has begun the process of transformation. He is no longer who he was. And every act of obedience confirms this truth. I am becoming the man who finishes. Affirm this now. I am the man who begins. The moment I move, power moves with me. Repeat it aloud. Speak it when you rise. Speak it before you act. Speak it when fear tells you to pause. Let it become the command that drives your feet forward. You will not feel ready. That is by design. Because the habit of winning is not built through comfort. It is built through obedience to definite movement despite discomfort. The man who begins in fear becomes the man who cannot be stopped. You have waited long enough. You have studied long enough. You have rehearsed the same promises in your mind for years. Now is the only hour that matters. Because the future belongs only to the one who uses the present with decision. Once you begin, you must not stop. Movement must become your default, for in repetition lies the law of habit force. This law will either bind you to failure or it will lift you to dominion. And the difference is the direction of your daily acts. Begin today. Begin again tomorrow. Begin while others sleep. Begin even when your hands tremble. And know that with each new beginning, the fire grows stronger. The identity of the man who wins becomes more deeply rooted, and soon you will no longer try to believe. You will know. Let these words shape your spirit. I am the man who begins. The moment I move, power moves with me. And know that once you become the man who begins, you will also become the man who finishes. Because a man who has learned the rhythm of forward motion is a man who has become unbreakable. Part 7. Burn the bridge. Do not give the old life a vote. You must now do what few men ever do. Burn the bridge. The one that leads back to comfort. The one that leads back to excuse. The one that leads back to your old life. As long as that bridge exists in your mind, you will always keep one foot in your past and one hand on your potential, and that man cannot rise. Greatness requires that you do not return. You must not negotiate with the former self. You must not give the weak voice of yesterday a single vote in today's direction. Decision is not real until it is irreversible. It must be final. It must be sealed in obedience. It must leave no escape hatch for retreat. So long as you think of going back, you are not fully going forward. So long as you whisper, I'll try, you have already surrendered. You must replace try with I shall. You must erase maybe with I must. You must silence every word that leaves the door open. Consider Abraham Lincoln. Once he committed to preserve the Union, there was no retreat. He did not seek agreement. He did not compromise with opposition. He burned the bridge. He accepted war, suffering, cost, but not retreat. And because of it, the nation endured. You cannot become the man you were born to be while still protecting the man you used to be. The two cannot live in the same house. One must die. And the one that dies must be the self that tolerates hesitation, that speaks in maybe, that waits for ease and permission. Your old self had its time. It had its season, but it was not built for where you are going. And if you allow it to live, it will pull you back into drift, back into delay, back into the life that looks busy but builds nothing. That self is not welcome here. Decision is not complete until you remove the possibility of reversal. The man who leaves a door open will return to it. The man who keeps the number of failure in his pocket will call it. The man who leaves the bridge behind him will use it. You must make the cost of retreat too high. You must make the idea of quitting so unthinkable that the only path your mind knows is forward. That is how identity is rewritten, not by effort, but by finality. Burn the plan B, erase the backup path, kill the waiting room, and watch how your spirit rises in response. Because nothing activates human power like the mind that knows it must now succeed or perish. Say it now. I do not negotiate with delay. I do not return. I begin and I finish. This is the vow of a finisher. This is the prayer of a warrior. This is the daily confession of the man who refuses to be bound to the past. Speak it aloud. Write it down. Stamp it on your heart. And let the world feel the finality in your steps. There is a reason the old life continues to call you, because you never closed the gate. You left it open, telling yourself you might return if it gets too hard. But now you know that option is the true enemy. It is not hardship that stops men. It is having an option to quit. Definiteness of purpose cannot share space with ambiguity. The man who is definite builds with full force, but the man who is split will always fall. And nothing splits the spirit like holding on to what should have been surrendered. Burn the bridge. Burn the calendar that says later. Burn the excuse that says not yet. Burn the identity that believes fear is stronger than decision. Because once it burns, you become something new. The man who burns the bridge can no longer be tempted. He walks with resolve. He speaks with authority. He moves without seeking approval, because he knows there is no going back. That is the power you now claim. The power to remove options. The power to silence the past. The power to become the man whose only direction is forward. Declare it now. I do not negotiate with delay. I do not return. I begin and I finish. And let that become your law, because once you do, you are free. Part 8, the day you begin, is the day life begins to obey. There's a sacred hour in every man's life where the direction of his future is no longer determined by wishes, by dreams, by imagination, but by command. That hour is the day he begins, not when he plans, not when he intends, not when he prepares, but when he moves without negotiation. It is on that day that life stops ignoring him. It is on that day that infinite intelligence turns its gaze and begins to respond. Because the universe does not obey men who dabble, who waver, who study but never act. The world bends only for the man who speaks in motion and proves his faith by doing. If this is that day for you, then mark it. Burn it into your mind. Because everything before now was rehearsal. Everything after now is alignment. The past was the price. This day is the door, and what lies beyond it will be determined by your daily obedience to decision. You do not need more strength. You do not need more understanding. You need only one thing, to become immovable in your beginning. For once a man begins and makes beginning his law, his identity shifts. And once identity changes, the outer world has no choice but to obey. This law is simple. It does not require education. It does not ask for resources. It makes no room for excuses. It says only this: begin today. Repeat daily. Do not stop. Let every morning be met with fire. Let every evening be closed with action. Let no day pass without obedience to your definite chief aim. What is your chief aim? It is the clearly written statement of what you desire most, backed by the plan you act upon, the faith you feel, and the decision to never quit. That aim is your compass. That aim is your shield. And when it is written, spoken, and walked toward each day, it becomes reality. You must read it aloud each morning. You must speak it aloud each night. Let your subconscious hear it when you rise, and again before you sleep. Because the subconscious obeys repetition, and what it hears most often, it accepts as law, and what it accepts, it brings to pass. Do not merely recite words. Speak them with emotion. Speak them with clarity. Speak them until your bones believe, for repetition alone is not enough. It is emotionalized repetition that creates conviction. And conviction that is felt is destiny that is built. Your words must be followed by action. It is not enough to speak, you must step. The man who repeats but does not move is still asleep. But the man who speaks and steps, who affirms and obeys, who declares and does, he is awake, he is dangerous, he is unshakable. Each day, take action toward your aim. It does not matter how large, it does not matter how small. If it is movement in the direction of your purpose, it is sacred, because each act strengthens belief, and belief creates momentum, and momentum creates outcomes. Never again say later. From this day forward, later is dead. You are a man of now. You are a man of command. You are a man who begins even when the feelings are absent, even when the results are delayed, even when the path is unclear, because movement creates clarity. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is law, the law of cause and effect, the law of definite purpose, the law of obedience. And if you align your day to these laws, your life must change. It has no choice. The man who lives this way does not ask for signs. He does not beg for encouragement. He is too busy moving, too busy declaring, too busy living in alignment with the future he demands. And because of this, life must rearrange itself to honor him. There will be days when it is quiet. There will be seasons when it appears nothing is changing. But I tell you, do not stop, because the law does not lie. The law is at work even when the results are not seen. It is preparing, calculating, aligning all things for the man who is immovable in decision. You are not doing this for applause. You are not doing this for proof. You are doing this because you have chosen to obey the one command that every successful man has followed. Begin, and keep beginning until the world breaks before your persistence. Do not judge your growth by a single day. Judge it by your obedience to the daily command. Were you obedient today? Did you repeat your aim? Did you move forward? Did you honor your identity? Then you are winning. Then the shift has already begun. Then life is beginning to obey you. Say this now with force. This is the day I begin. This is the hour I obey. My life begins when I move. Speak it until your old self trembles. Speak it until your former doubts beg to be released. Speak it until your bones align with your vision. Because the man who owns his day owns his destiny. And the man who moves today rules tomorrow. Let no one tell you it is too late. Let no thought convince you that more waiting is required. That voice is a liar. That voice is the past in disguise. You are not who you were. You are not a man who drifts. You are not a man who begs. You are a man who begins. And so you shall begin daily. No excuses, no negotiations, no detours. You rise with fire. You speak your aim. You take your step. You silence fear. You act again. You do this until it is no longer what you do. It is who you are. This is the rhythm of the man who commands his life. This is the morning ritual of the one who refuses to drift. This is the habit of the man infinite intelligence exalts. And this is now your identity. Not tomorrow, not next month. Now repeat it once more, like a vow. This is the day I begin. This is the hour I obey. My life begins when I move. Let this rhythm be your heartbeat. Let this creed be your compass. Let this fire be your foundation. Because today the old life dies. Today hesitation dies. Today the man who used to delay is gone. You are the new man now, and the world is already shifting to meet him.